Welcome, Low Ego Action Heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com. We are a full service CX and UX consultancy. Check us out. And this is not a green screen. This is where I am. I'm on vacation, and that's why you only get the top of my head because really, the scene is much better than me. I should really just kind of lean out of my own picture here. But I decided to do it from not inside the camper and outside, but holy cats, I am covered in bugs, and that's not fun. That's not fun for me. So I'm just going to be swatting at bugs. And even though the Wi-Fi is pretty good here, I know that the video might not match up very well with the audio, but hopefully the audio is clear. So if anybody's out there, please say hello. And of course, as always, we want to thank all of the low ego action heroes who are donating to the channel financially, totally optional, but always appreciated, through the YouTube memberships. You can also give with super chat, super stickers, and super thanks. And of course, another great way to support the channel, which costs you nothing, is to press like. Comment after the stream is over and tell people about the channel. That's all I could ever dream of. I'd rather have you tell people about the channel than throw money at me, to be honest. Hey, Tracy. I am on vacation and we keep changing spots every few days. So right now I am near the border of Italy and Austria. We took our camper out for the very first time, and this is day 6 or 7 of a 16-day trip. And my boyfriend said he was going to walk behind me so you could see this is really live. You probably can't hear the cars driving by, so you know it's not a green screen. Hi, Christian. You're not going to dance on by behind me after all of those promises you made? All right. Well, we're going to go to. Hi, Wilson. We are going to flip over. Yeah, this is a pretty spot. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of bicycle paths. We've been doing a lot of bicycling on the trip, so this might not win for cycling, but hopefully we'll do some hiking. And then on Monday, oh, Pier Mario is a gorgeous backdrop. Yes, it's real. And to prove it, I have my very own small BBC child. Very good. That was great, honey. Very jazzy. You are the BBC child. All right. So, very good. He's better than I am at this. All right. Let's see if I can press all the right buttons because I'm not working from my phone. All right. So let's press this and then let's press this and here we go. All right, so y'all sent in 6 things, and we'll be looking at 5 of them because somebody sent in a link to Facebook. And I don't have a Facebook account, which means I can't see it. So if you want to send me something that is from Facebook or TikTok, you're going to have to screenshot it. I can't see these things, so moving on. So, Tiago, who I'm not sure I know, posted this about a week ago, and it says, a piece of unwarranted advice for all junior designers out there. If the place you're working for has an office, go there as much as possible. You're missing out on a lot of monkey see, monkey do learning and ad hoc mentoring from your seniors. You're also not building professional relationships that more times than not will open doors in your future. P.S. This also applies to new job starts and especially to work immigrants. Don't sabotage your own growth and integration. You can transition to remote progressively as you start knowing people and building rapport. This died in the algorithm, so it evidently was not well liked. It has 16 likes and 2 comments, and I only see 1 comment, which is this person agrees. Considering we all managed to build relationships through the pandemic, I would have to say I don't agree with this. What about you in the chat room? Does anybody agree or disagree with this? I think that there are certainly times when being in person with people can really help, but I also think that's a little bit of old school thinking. I think we've all figured out how to work remotely, and we've all figured out how to build relationships even when we are apart. And I don't want you to think that if you're not bumping into people at the coffee machine, that you're not going to get support and you're not going to meet people. It just may take a little bit more effort. And let's also remember that there are many people with disabilities and other conditions and diagnoses or just locations where coming into an office either doesn't make sense or is extremely difficult. So let's make sure. I think the best response to this is, if this is for juniors, then let's remind everybody who's not a junior out there to reach out to people who work remotely and to make sure they feel included, to have video calls with them, to have Slack chats with them, to make sure you are connecting with them and mentoring them and talking to them and checking in on them. It shouldn't only work if we're all standing in the same building or something like that. I hope everybody can still see and hear me. Yes, sound, video? Okay. Because I didn't see any comments, and so I didn't know if people agreed or disagreed or if the stream shut down. I have no idea. Let's see. I assume I'm still live. Looks like it's going. All right, let's move to the next one. Someone sent me UX Collection, which claims it's real talk, but then right away it's what is design thinking. Now, if I click on this and design thinking is in a pile of garbage, then here you go. So basically, it looks like someone just curated a whole bunch of things, dumped them into Notion, and doesn't really tell you what to do and what not to do. I, I'm not sure this is any better than you Googling this. I mean, basically, why is design sprints advanced learning? These don't make sense. So basically, it looks like someone just Googled a lot of stuff, put it on a list, and then at the bottom wants to offer you stuff. I don't know who Maureen is. Maybe Maureen knows who I am, but but especially once I see design thinking and design sprints, it's certainly not a resource that I would recommend. And I don't think this is a resource that's going to teach you any better than anything else, because there is no instructor here. There is nobody to check your work here. This is just a bunch of online videos and articles. So I don't think that's going to help anybody at all. So yeah. Is anybody still here? Hello? Is this stream still live? How do I check on that? I don't even believe I'm live. Y'all are too quiet. Is it that we haven't gotten to the fireworksy one yet? We'll get there. Hmm. No, I seem to be live, but you can check if you want. People said, no, we can hear you. We're here. Okay, y'all were pretty quiet. Okay, y'all are mysterious today. All right, let's go back. So this is not a resource that I necessarily recommend. Again, it just seems like somebody, and again, I didn't go through this page by page, but it just seems like something that somebody Googled and threw together. And so, I can't necessarily agree with it or disagree with it because I didn't go through all of it. But once I see design sprints and design thinking, it's probably not something that I would recommend. And since they're pushing Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, I assume they just want more followers. So doesn't interest me. Information architecture is really the most important. So what do they have here? Oh God, Web Designer Depot is the worst resource to go to. We did a couple of articles from him before on this show, and he was like, it was like, UX is not going to exist anymore, but hire me. And it was like, what? Um, so yeah, so it just seems like someone Googled stuff and threw stuff together, because these are not the resources that I would recommend for information architecture. I'm not going to recommend Web Designer Depot. I'm not going to recommend Career Foundry. I'm not going to recommend that. Yeah, so I would say whoever put this together doesn't seem to be an expert in these areas. Wilson says, I wonder when design sprints and design thinking will be out of our misery. I know, I wish. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is Emily, who I might be pronouncing incorrectly. I don't think I know her, but I think I am connected to her on LinkedIn, but I don't think I know her. This was from 3 weeks ago. And it says, the most common questions I get asked again and again from people transitioning to UX is, how did you find junior roles asking for 0 to 1 years of experience? The secret, I didn't. Well, I did find some, but they were few and far between with hundreds of people who'd already applied. So what did I do? I applied for roles asking for 3 to 5 years of experience. Keep in mind that everything listed under the requirements is actually a wish list, and your past experience might be more relevant than you think. If you meet 80% of the criteria, you should apply. The worst that can happen is you get rejected or don't hear back. You've got nothing to lose. The role I landed asked for 3+ years. Don't self reject. So this, I'm not going to set off my clickbait thing because I took it out to make my file smaller, but because I'm on my laptop. But this is the kind of thing that juniors love to see. They love to see people telling them, fake it till you make it, apply for things you don't qualify for, just go for it. And you can do that. And I imagine once in a while it works, but I would imagine more often than not it doesn't work. And I would imagine that more often than not it leads to rejection and sadness. I mean, how many of you have come to our Slack channel and talked about how many dozens or hundreds of jobs you've applied for and didn't hear back or didn't get the interview? This can weigh on you. And she seems to take that very lightly. And so I don't take that lightly. And so we did a show on this a long, long time ago. I think it was like episode 15 or something like that. Just search on YouTube for Delta CX Stretch, because I think the show was called something like, should I apply for that job even if it's a stretch or something like that? Let me see if I can pull that up quickly. Let's try to find it. So I did a show on that, and basically I said, look, if you're close, then I can understand you applying. But if you're not close, if it asks for 3 to 5 years and you have nothing, I don't think I would apply. Stretch. This is my interface. It is episode 15. Great. So you can go to YouTube and search for Delta CX Stretch and see what I had to say about it, 2.5 years ago. That's one opinion. But I think that the problem is that, sure, sometimes a requirement is not a requirement and it's a wish list. But when a requirement is a requirement, you look strange for applying. And I went through this a month or so ago when we opened up a senior UX researcher job where I've been consulting. And we asked for, it was either 5+ years or 7+ years. And we had someone just out of General Assembly apply for it. And I wrote them and I was like, I'm sorry, it looks like you're a designer with no experience. We're looking for a senior researcher with 5 to 7 years of experience. And their response was, yes, but I'll work hard and learn fast. And I think posts like this can mislead people into thinking that if you just have a lot of drive, then you'll get that chance. But the question is, what happens when you get into that job that expects somebody with years of experience and you have little or no experience and you're thrown into that ocean? Some of you are going through that now because you're volunteering at places. Oh, hi, I'm down here. You're volunteering at places and you're coming to me and you're like, wow, this volunteering thing is a mess. It's a nightmare. Hi, Sheer. Yeah, I'm on vacation. Um, and you're volunteering at stuff and you're coming to me and you're like, this stuff is a nightmare. These people are disorganized. Nobody is helping me. Nobody's supporting me. Remember, if you go into a job that expects 3 to 5 years of experience, there probably is no mentoring. There is no teaching. There is no coaching. They expect you to be mid-level or senior at that point, and they expect you to hit the ground running. So you'd better have a great coach behind the scenes who is keeping you afloat and constantly checking your work. But at the same time, does that mean, I don't know this woman at all. Did she fool the job that she got? Did she really have the experience? If she didn't have the experience, did she fool them? Or were they okay with her having no experience? We're missing pieces of the story here. So I just want to warn people, and I do recommend my episode 15 because I think that it's important to consider your own mental health and the environment that you're going to go into. Let's have more of what's behind me and less of me. How's that? Um, Wilson says, hold on, it's just coming in. Sometimes companies don't even know what they want when they ask for 1 to 3 years, but they want someone more senior. Yeah, it's true. Sometimes companies really don't understand UX and they ask for all kinds of things. And then, what are we going into? So remember, watch episode 15 and also watch episode 129, because that's where we talked about what questions you should ask during your interview so that you can make sure this is the environment that you want to work in and that you want to go into. Because ultimately, they're not just interviewing you, you're interviewing them. Wilson says, hit the ground running, but we only need 1 year of experience. Yeah, be careful. A lot of these jobs stink, and y'all know it. So I'd have to say I don't agree with her advice. I think if it's asking for 3 to 5 and you have 2, you can go for it. If it's asking for 3 to 5 and you have 0, it's not the right environment for you, because then you're going to come to me in a panic and say, they expect me to just do this stuff. And I'm going to be like, well, yeah, you took a job that expected 3 years of experience. So, make sure that's the environment you want to be in. All right, let's take a look at this Medium article. I did not get a chance to read it. It's from almost 4 years ago. It's from Indy Young, who I generally don't follow. Abby says, hi, Deb, only the top of your head is visible. That's on purpose, Abby. The view behind me is much better than the view of my face, so I'm just doing top of my head. I would get out of my own picture if I could. So yeah. Subu, hi. Oh my God, yes, that's exactly what's been bothering me as I'm applying for jobs right now. Yeah, I think that and it is bad out there. I know that there are very few jobs out there who welcome newbies and juniors and apprentices and people who still need teaching and coaching, but just because you can talk your way and promise you'll work hard in a job expecting more experience doesn't mean that that's the right environment for you, and doesn't mean that you will succeed. It doesn't mean that you will level up. It doesn't mean that you'll be happy. Daniel says, no way. Um, Subu says, as a recent grad, I'm looking for a truly entry level job role with mentoring and coaching, and everyone keeps saying apply to jobs requiring more years of experience. And again, you could fake it and fool them, but do you want to work for the people that you fooled? So I think it's better to apply for things that match the environment you want to be in. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get a job at a cool startup and blah, blah, blah. The startups are some of the worst jobs. Right, everybody? Everybody here knows that. I know you know it. Okay, so let's talk about Indy's hate speech and research article. I am on vacation, and so the view behind me is real and not a green screen. But I did not get the chance to read this. I only got the chance to skim it. And what it appears to be about is if you are running a research session and the person you are researching says something inappropriate, unacceptable, racist, things like that. What should you do? Now, there's a couple of pieces of advice that I have here. First of all, I have a consent form that says that we do not welcome or allow hate speech against any particular group or type of person or whatever. There's a long list. For those of you who've seen my consent form, you know what I'm talking about, but it says like, gender. Oh, here comes some motorcycles. Gender, ethnicity, religion, marital status, language. I mean, it's a long list of things. And it says, we do not welcome any speech that is biased against those. And we do reserve the right to end the session without paying you. So anybody who's going to say that stuff may or may not read that and may or may not say that stuff. Number 2, what can you do? So this article makes it seem like if somebody does this, shouldn't we just have empathy for them? I find that that's what liberal people say. Now, I'm a liberal person myself, but I am so tired of liberal people wanting to have empathy for people who don't have empathy for them. I don't want to have empathy for racists. I don't want to have empathy for people who are homophobic. They don't deserve my empathy, and I don't have to give them empathy or sympathy or any of my headspace or heart. So no, I don't think we have to have empathy for bad people. Let's face it. If you are racist, sexist, homophobic, ageist, you are not on my list of great people. And I'm not in a big rush to have a lot of empathy for you. Now, as for whether or not you end a session because you're the researcher and they've said this, I think that's going to be in the eye of the beholder. So let's say I'm talking to someone and they say something racist. if the racist remark is in some way relevant or helpful to the research, I might continue that conversation because there's something I want to know about that person and their perspectives. If that person says something that I find greatly insulting, I have to stop for a minute and ask myself if I'm being neutral or not. And ultimately, I think you have the right to play it as you see fit. If you think that this is somebody you don't want to continue interviewing, you absolutely can. Um, so I didn't end up reading a lot of this article because it sounds like it just ended up being about, like, can you accept them or forgive them or have empathy for them? And I say, F that. It is not our job to have empathy or forgive people who are bad people. You don't have to. You absolutely don't. And so the question is the situation so uncomfortable and inappropriate that you need to end the session? And I say that's in the eye of the beholder. If you need to end a session because of something somebody said, that's your right. I have not done that, but some of you know that I did throw out a session that I once did because the guy was like, "I bet I smoked pot with your grandmother." Like, he just started shooting off his mouth and he was an idiot, but he didn't say anything that would qualify as hate speech. So this hasn't happened to me. The closest I've come to this was just before I went on someone's live podcast. And I mean seconds before he hit the stream button. Seconds before he hit the stream button. You know, the lights are on, I'm smiling, I'm ready for action, I've got my concealer on, and he goes, "Man, that Black Lives Matter stuff is a lot of nonsense." And I just froze. And then he hits the stream button and he's like, "Welcome to the," and I'm thinking, like, there were a million thoughts in my brain, like, do I still do this guy's show? Like, what do I even do? And I think if I could have done that again, I think I would have not done the show. But in that moment, it caught me by such surprise I didn't know what to do. And I think that that's okay too. Your reaction is your reaction. If you freeze up like I did and you're not sure what to do, that's okay too. Daniel says, "What if you have a colleague working with you? Do you leave the session for your mate or do you end everything?" That's a good point too, Daniel. Maybe you work it out ahead of time with your colleague that if somehow somebody says something that one of you is having trouble, dealing with or reacting to, and the other isn't, one person just excuses themselves and says, "My colleague will take over from here," and you excuse yourself, and if you're there, you leave the room. If you're on a camera, you turn off your camera. So again, I think that you always have the right to remove yourself, but it's important to make sure your consent form says that if this ends up being part of the experience, or if this is that language, somebody find me in Slack, and I'll send you a copy of my consent form so y'all can steal it. Oh my God, I'm covered in bugs. Bashir says, "I work as a UX designer, but my company doesn't allow us to do UX research. We don't test prototypes before implementing. We don't measure KPIs. Do you think I can convince them or look for another job?" Well, I'd say both. Always look for, you can't go wrong looking for another job and starting to apply. And you can also try to convince them. It doesn't hurt to try. And I say, if you're going to start with something, start with testing the prototypes. Remind them that it's like QA, and you test your code before you put it out there. We should test our concepts and designs before they get out there. So see if you can get some testing in there. So anyway, in short, I have no opinion on this article because I didn't read it. But where I skimmed it, I thought that it was, I couldn't understand why it was about forgiving people or having empathy for people for hate speech. I have absolutely no tolerance for hate speech. Sometimes I freeze up when somebody uses it around me. I'm not always the ally I wish I could be. I have messed up at times, and I haven't stood up, but I'm trying to be better about that. And you don't have to forgive them, and you don't have to have empathy for them. And I just want you to know that for every area of your life, you do not have to forgive or have empathy for anyone who doesn't deserve it. Case closed. let me know if you have questions about that. All right, finally, we've got Hung, a friend of the show, Hung's LinkedIn post. This post was so fantastic that we are actually going to turn it into a show. So we're all going to get to meet Hung in a few weeks in June. So check that out. But in short, you definitely want to follow Hung on LinkedIn. His recent posts have been excellent and so exciting, and we're going to turn them into a show. So, for example, he's talking here about how he imagined his job application process like a funnel. Some of you've heard about funnels. It's a concept businesses use when they're trying to get people through different parts of their system and eventually to do something successfully, like make a purchase. And he talked about how he made his own funnel, like um, round one, round two, round three, round four. And then he talked about how he found different things took him different amounts of time, and he tracked how much success he had with each thing. And so he finally decided, I'm not going to do cover letters. I'm not going to do design exercises. I'm going to just say no to job. If somebody wants a cover letter, I'm not applying. If somebody wants a design exercise, I'm not applying. And how he kind of maximized his time and made his own decisions by keeping track of how far he seemed to get with interviews when he did a cover letter or didn't do a cover letter, and how much time he spent on each of these things. So you really have to see this, or at least hear him talk about it. Excuse me. I'm surrounded by bugs. I probably just ate one. Hold on. Ah, so yeah, so we're going to have him on the show, and I'm sure we'll have some of these visuals, but even for those who aren't looking at the screen or don't see the screen, we will talk through them. So you definitely want to be following him on LinkedIn, and it's Hong, and I'm bad at names, so this might be pronounced perhaps Zhu, but he will tell us when we meet him. So those are all the things that everybody sent in. So let's go back to the top of my head. That's better. I'm here. I'm down here somewhere. And basically, we'll wrap up the show because I'm just sitting out here in the wind's blowing and the bugs are flying on me. So I'm going to get out of here. But hopefully, we'll have Tuesday's office hours show from a different location. David says, honestly, he should just show this in the interview. Using test and learn in the hiring process is genius. Yeah, I love it. I loved it so much. I was like, you must be on the show. And then he started posting other ones he's made. He did another one that was BATNA, using BATNA, which I learned about in my MBA program, to negotiate a higher salary. So, like, really smart stuff. I loved it. Daniel says, be careful with the bugs. I know, I feel surrounded by bugs right now, but we'll be moving to a different spot in a few days. Hopefully, less bugs, more bike paths. But we're doing like a little sampler vacation where we're spending a few nights each in different places because we've never gone out in our camper before. And, so far, so mostly good. So, those of you who are following our camper on Instagram, I'll be putting up pictures from the last spot soon. And also, you can follow the camper if you'd like. It's on Instagram. It's Hello McLouie, McLouie. Sheer says it was refreshing. Thank you and enjoy your trip. Yeah, good to see you, Sheer. I'd like to send me a private note. Tell me how things are going. Oh, here comes our dancer. Hold on. Let's see. What's he up to? Do 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 do. That's pretty good. That's a much better show than I'm putting on. Good Lord. Wow. Okay. That was a fantastic show. Everybody, please throw Pier Mario some super thanks and super chat and super stickers for that tab dance. Excuse me. Oh my God. Okay, I'm losing my breath out here. All right. Thanks for hanging out. Oh God, there's more. Yes. So everybody have a super weekend. Be well. Take care of yourself. Yeah. Thank you for the dancing emoji. And I will try to see you Tuesday for office hours from our other location if the Wi-Fi is good. Hopefully this Wi-Fi was pretty good. Thanks everybody, and remember, tell everybody about the channel. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are